Andrew Carnegie, a name that echoed through the halls of power, a man whose fortune shaped the very skyline of America. He was a titan of industry, a symbol of unimaginable wealth and ambition, whose every move was watched by the world. But in one of America's most audacious scams, Carnegie was nothing more than a name on a forged document, an unwitting pawn in a scheme that would ripple through society. He never met the woman who claimed to be his daughter, never exchanged a single word with her. He never signed a thing for her, never gave her a penny, and yet his name would become the key to a fortune. Carnegie was a ghost in a story that would devastate real lives and fortunes, haunting the edges of a scandal he never saw coming. It all began with Cassie Chadwick, a mystery to Cleveland's high society, a woman whose origins were as shadowy as her intentions. She dazzled Millionaires' Row with her lavish parties and extravagant spending, earning whispers and admiration in equal measure. But beneath the silks and diamonds was a past she desperately hid, a life built on secrets, deception, and reinvention. Cassie's story is about belief, how people see what they want to see, especially when money is involved, and how greed can cloud even the sharpest minds. Bankers saw her as a golden ticket, ignoring the warning signs, eager to believe in the promise of easy wealth. The desire for quick riches blinded them to the truth, making them complicit in their own downfall. In one corner, powerful men of finance, sure of their judgment, convinced they could not be fooled. In the other, a woman with a shadowy past and a story too incredible to question, weaving a web of lies with astonishing skill. The collision would shake Cleveland and Wall Street to its core, sending shockwaves through the nation's financial elite. Old money versus new lies. Only one would survive. The question was which and who would pay the price for believing in a fantasy. And so, the stage was set for a drama that would leave no one untouched. Before she was Cassie Chadwick, she was Elizabeth Bigley, born on a humble Ontario farm in 1857. Her family worked the land, living simply, far from the glittering cities she would one day haunt. But even in those quiet fields, something restless stirred within her. Even as a child, Elizabeth was different, drawn to tall tales and reinvention. She spun stories for her friends, weaving fantasy and fact until no one could tell the difference. Her imagination was her escape and her first tool. Her first con, posing as an English heiress, forging promissory notes and convincing merchants to extend her credit. She was barely a teenager, but already she understood the power of a convincing story and a well-placed signature. She was caught, but instead of stopping, she learned, aim higher, go bigger. The courtroom became her classroom, and every mistake was a lesson in the art of deception. Elizabeth drifted to Cleveland, married a doctor, and tried to live respectably. For a while, she played the part of a dutiful wife, blending into society's expectations, but the mask never quite fit. But the thrill of the con was irresistible. The excitement of outsmarting others, the rush of risk, it called to her, louder than any promise of a quiet life. She had a gift for reading people, for reflecting their dreams back at them. In every conversation she found opportunity, sensing what others longed for and offering it, at a price. Cassie understood people weren't just buying a story, they were buying a dream of easy money, of sudden fortune. She sold hope and people lined up to buy it. She studied the wealthy, learned their ways, and transformed herself into a woman of the world. She watched, listened, and imitated until she could move among them as if she belonged. The farm girl vanished, replaced by a sophisticated socialite with a secret. Her transformation was so complete, even those who knew her before barely recognized her. A secret she would soon reveal to a select few, for a price. Whispers in drawing rooms, rumors in parlors, her legend grew with every retelling. Cassie's greatest con was about to begin. She was ready to step onto a bigger stage with higher stakes and richer rewards. She would become the heiress everyone wanted to believe in. The more outrageous her claims, the more people wanted them to be true. And the cost would be staggering. The transformation was complete. Cassie Chadwick was now a legend in her own time, a living myth. But the truth was never far behind. Shadows gathered, and the first whispers of doubt began to circulate. Cassie was ready to play her biggest role yet. Every move was calculated, every word rehearsed, as she prepared for the performance of a lifetime. The stakes had never been higher. One wrong step, and everything could come crashing down, and the world was about to watch, captivated by the woman who wasn't what she seemed. The plan was simple, deceptively so. Cassie had spent weeks perfecting every detail, ensuring nothing would be left to chance. Cassie took James Dillon, a Cleveland bank cashier, to New York, luring him away from the safety of his familiar city streets. She told him she had a personal matter involving Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate whose name carried immense weight. As their carriage passed Carnegie's mansion, Cassie grew quiet, her eyes fixed on the imposing facade, as if lost in painful memory. Then in a trembling voice she confided her secret. She was Carnegie's illegitimate daughter, a truth she claimed had haunted her for years. She claimed he supported her in secret, out of shame, sending money and promises but never acknowledging her in public. To prove it, she entered the mansion alone, leaving Dillon waiting anxiously, his curiosity and sympathy growing by the minute. When she returned, she accidentally dropped a bundle of promissory notes, each signed Andrew Carnegie. The papers looked authentic, aged, and official. Dillon, a respected banker, was convinced. The signatures, the story, the emotion, everything fit together perfectly in his mind. He returned to Cleveland as a believer, ready to vouch for Cassie's story and spread the tale among his colleagues. What he didn't know, Cassie never met Carnegie, and the notes were expertly forged, crafted by her own skilled hand. The entire scene was a performance, and Dillon was her perfect witness, unwittingly playing his part in her elaborate deception. With his endorsement, Cassie's legend grew. The hook was set, and whispers began to circulate through Cleveland's banking circles. The bankers of Cleveland would soon be lining up, eager to be part of this secret, desperate to believe in her story. Cassie's web of lies was about to ensnare them all, each thread carefully spun to trap the unwary. The con was in motion, every piece falling into place just as she had planned, and no one suspected a thing. The stage was hers, and the city was about to become her playground. The city would never be the same. Cassie's scheme was just beginning. Armed with forged notes and Dillon's endorsement, Cassie returned to Cleveland. She used the Carnegie notes as collateral, never cashing them, just promising future wealth. Bankers, eager for a piece of the Carnegie fortune, gave her loans without question. Cassie made them feel special, privy to a secret, part of an exclusive circle. She borrowed from one bank to pay off another, always upping the ante. It was a pyramid scheme built on debt, not investment. Her spending was lavish, her story airtight. The loans grew from thousands to millions, over $2 million in total, the equivalent of $60 million today. Bankers saw her lifestyle and believed the myth. They never realized they were funding it all themselves. Cassie's scheme ran for years unchecked. The illusion was perfect until it wasn't. The cracks were starting to show, and the fall would be spectacular. Why did so many fall for Cassie's scheme? Greed and the power of a name. Andrew Carnegie's signature was as good as gold. Cassie's forged notes short-circuited the skepticism of even the sharpest bankers. She swore them to secrecy, making them feel like insiders and keeping them from comparing notes. Her charisma was magnetic. She lied with confidence and poise. Bankers wanted to believe they'd found the investment of a lifetime. Social proof sealed the deal. When one banker lent her money, others followed. Her lavish lifestyle, funded by their own loans, reinforced the illusion. They were trapped in a cycle of belief and self-deception. Cassie understood human nature and exploited it perfectly. The name Carnegie blinded them to the truth. By the time they realized, it was too late. The trap had snapped shut. For 8 years, Cassie lived in luxury, her empire built on lies. But in 1904, Boston banker Herbert Newton sued to recover a massive loan. The lawsuit unraveled everything. Reporters dug into her story. Creditors panicked. The secrecy that protected Cassie vanished under public scrutiny. Bankers called in their loans, but the money was gone, spent on jewels, clothes, and debt. Banks teetered on collapse. Fortunes evaporated. Andrew Carnegie himself denied knowing Cassie or signing any notes. The illusion shattered. The notes were worthless. Panic swept Cleveland's financial community. Cassie fled to New York, but there was nowhere to hide. Her face was in every paper, her story, national news. The woman who fooled millionaires was now a fugitive. Her performance was over. The reckoning had arrived. The city would never forget. The house of cards had fallen. Cassie's arrest set the stage for the trial of the century. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, socialites, and the curious, all eager to see the infamous con artist. Bankers testified how Cassie duped them with her tale of being Carnegie's secret daughter. Forged notes and handwriting experts sealed her fate. James Dillon, her unwitting accomplice, recounted the carriage ride that started it all. Cassie took the stand, insisting she was Carnegie's daughter. A final desperate performance. But the evidence was overwhelming: debt, ruined banks, and Carnegie's public denial. The jury saw through her act, convicting her of conspiracy to defraud a national bank. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The fallout was devastating. Banks collapsed, fortunes lost, lives destroyed. Cassie's legend was cemented, but at a terrible cost. The lesson was clear: unchecked greed and blind trust can destroy even the mighty. Prison was a world away from Millionaire's Row. Cassie tried to recreate her old life, but the reality of confinement wore her down. Her health failed, her energy faded. She wrote her memoirs, hoping to control her legacy, but the manuscript vanished. Cassie died in prison just 2 years into her sentence. Her story became legend, a cautionary tale of ambition, deception, and the blurred line between reality and illusion. Was she a villain or a product of her time? Perhaps both. Her name became synonymous with audacious fraud. The desire to believe in the impossible remains as dangerous as ever. Cassie's story endures, a warning for every generation. Some lessons are never learned. Cassie Chadwick's tale is just one of many. Stories of deception, ambition, and the hidden corners of human nature. Here, we uncover the mysteries that shaped our world. If you found Cassie's story captivating, there's so much more to discover. Join our community of curious minds, subscribe and turn on notifications. Help us bring forgotten stories to light. There's always another mystery to solve, another secret to uncover. Stay with us for the next incredible true story. You never know what we'll find next.